Welcome to ZOZO Sleepy Stories. We're thrilled to have you here for another cozy tale to spark your imagination. If you enjoy our stories, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends and family. Your support helps us keep the bedtime magic alive. Now, grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's dive into tonight's story. Come, settle in now. Let the weight of your day fall away like stones dropped into a deep, quiet pool. The world outside, with its sharp edges and hurried sounds, can wait. For tonight, we are not here. We are walking a path back through time. A path worn smooth by the footfalls of 1,000 generations. Back to a world lit only by fire and stars. I want you to listen, not just with your ears, but with the part of you that remembers a stillness you thought you had forgotten. My name is not important. Think of me only as a voice, an elder of a clan that lived when the world was wrapped in a great cloak of ice. My memory is long, stretching back beyond my own winters to the winters of my grandfather and his grandfather before him. And tonight, I will share with you the quietest and most sacred of our secrets. The secret of how we learned to sleep when the world outside was frozen in a long, dark dream. Our story begins as the light begins to fail. The sun, a pale, weary disk in the sky, has already touched the jagged teeth of the western mountains. It does not set with fire and glory as it does in the summer months. In winter, it simply surrenders, bleeding a soft, violet bruise across the horizon before vanishing completely. This is the hour of transition. The hunters are home, their spears cleaned and resting against the cave wall, their breath still pluming in the frigid air near the entrance. The children, their laughter now softened to whispers, have finished their meal of roasted marrow and dried berries. The women are making their final preparations, their movements slow and deliberate, a silent dance they have known their whole lives. Our home is a cave, but do not picture a simple, dark hole in the rock. To us, it is the heart of the world. Its entrance, a narrow mouth shielded by a curtain of heavy bison hides, faces east, away from the biting winds that howl down from the great ice sheets to the north. We call it the Cave of Whispering Winds, for the wind never screams here. It only sighs, telling us stories of the world outside. The air inside is cool but not cold. It carries the scent of 100 winters, the sharp, clean smell of stone, the rich, musky perfume of cured animal hides, the faint, sweet aroma of the dried herbs scattered across the floor, and, above all, the living scent of wood smoke. This is the smell of safety. It is the first lullaby. I am sitting now, my back against a familiar curve in the stone wall, a place worn smooth by my own body over more than 60 winters. A thick, mammoth fur is draped over my shoulders, its weight a comforting presence. From here, I can see it all. I can see Lyra, my daughter, humming a low, tuneless song as she mends a tear in her son's small tunic with a bone needle and sinew thread. Her hands, though calloused, move with a gentle grace. I see the young ones, their bellies full, now nestled together in a pile, their small bodies a tangle of limbs and soft fur, their eyelids growing heavy. I see the younger men, their day's work done, speaking in low murmurs, their voices a soft rumble like distant thunder. They do not speak of the hunt tomorrow or the dangers that walk the night. They speak of small things, the way a snow hare darted from its burrow, the shape of a cloud they saw that afternoon. Their words are not for planning, they are for weaving the day to a close. The world is shrinking, you see. In the summer, our world is as wide as the Great Plains, as vast as the sky. But in winter, our world becomes this cave. It becomes the circle of light cast by the fire. And as the darkness outside deepens, becoming absolute, our senses turn inward. We begin to listen more than we look. We listen to the pop and hiss of the fire, the soft scuff of a foot on the stone floor, the gentle rhythm of breathing that begins to fill the space. Each sound is a note in the song of the night, a song of safety, of togetherness. We are not separate beings huddled in the dark. We are a single body, breathing in unison, our heartbeats slowly finding the same ancient, steady rhythm. This slowing down is not a choice, it is an instinct. It is a wisdom passed down not in words, but in the blood. The land itself teaches us. The snow muffles all sound. The cold makes every movement deliberate. The long, long nights invite stillness. To fight this would be to fight the season itself, a fool's battle. So we do not fight, we yield. We fold into the darkness as an animal curls into its den. We let the rhythm of the world outside guide the rhythm of the world within. And in this surrender, we find a peace that the modern world, with all its light and noise, has struggled to recall. So breathe with me now. Breathe in the scent of smoke and pine. Breathe out the hurry of your day. Feel the world shrink to the space you now occupy. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be. You are here at the edge of the great winter night, held in the quiet heart of the cave. The first part of the journey is over. The journey into stillness has just begun. At the center of our world, at the center of the cave, lives the fire. It is more than a convenience, more than a tool for warmth and cooking. It is a being. It has a spirit, a voice, a presence that anchors us all. We call it the heart of the cave, for its pulse is the pulse of our clan. It is the first elder, the one who has watched over us since the beginning of memory. Its light is the only sun we will know for many hours, and its warmth is the only thing that stands between us and the great, killing cold that owns the world outside. Tending to it is not a chore, it is our most sacred duty. The fire pit is not a careless hole in the ground. It is a shallow bowl, lined with smooth river stones that have been chosen and carried here over generations. Each stone holds the memory of 1,000 flames. The soot that blackens the cave ceiling high above it is a map of our history. A dark, swirling constellation of all the nights we have spent together, sheltered in its glow. Tonight, as every night, the duty of banking the fire for the long sleep falls to Alara, the oldest woman among us, and her granddaughter, Naya. This is a teaching passed not through spoken words, but through shared action. I watch them now. The clan has grown quiet, the low conversations fading into a comfortable silence. Alara moves with the slow, deliberate grace of one who has performed this ritual more times than there are stars in the sky. She uses a long, flat piece of slate to push the glowing orange embers into a tight mound at the center of the pit. Her hands, wrinkled and stained with ash, are steady. She is not merely moving coals, she is gathering the fire's life force, concentrating its energy so that it will last through the long hours of darkness. Nia, her eyes wide and serious in the flickering light, watches every movement. She does not ask questions. She absorbs the knowledge, feeling the rhythm of the task in her own small body. Once the embers are gathered, Alara selects the night logs. These are not just any pieces of wood. They are thick, dense logs of oak, harvested in the late autumn and dried for weeks. They are chosen for their ability to burn slowly, to smolder rather than flame, releasing their heat with a patient, steady breath. She lays the first log carefully beside the mound of embers, not directly on top. It must be coaxed into burning, not forced. It must accept the heat in its own time. Then she places a second log on the other side, creating a small channel between them. This is where the fire will breathe. Finally, she takes a handful of ash from the edge of the pit, cool gray ash from yesterday's fire, and gently covers the glowing mound. It seems a strange act to smother the very thing you wish to keep alive, but this is the secret. The ash acts as a blanket, insulating the embers, slowing their consumption, allowing them to sleep, just as we will. A small wisp of smoke escapes, carrying the dry, slightly bitter scent of the fire's slumber. The roaring flames of the evening have now vanished, replaced by a deep, radiant glow that pulses softly, a steady, sleeping heartbeat. The light in the cave transforms. The sharp, dancing shadows soften and merge. The great, overarching darkness beyond the fire's reach seems to deepen, but it is no longer a threat. It is a comfort, a thick, quiet blanket wrapped around our small circle of warmth. The warmth itself changes. It is no longer the sharp heat that makes you squint, but a gentle, pervasive warmth that seems to seep into your bones. It is a warmth that invites you to uncoil the tensions of the day. You can feel it on your skin, a soft pressure that soothes and reassures. This is the warmth that will hold us through the night. It is a promise made by Alara and Nia on behalf of us all that we will be safe, that the heart of our world will continue to beat while we rest. The children, who had been watching, seem to understand that the ritual is complete. It is the final signal. A few of them are already asleep, their small heads pillowed on their mother's laps. Others begin to stir, moving toward the sleeping nests that line the warmest parts of the cave. There is no command, no announcement that it is time for bed. The fire has spoken, and everyone understands its language. It has told us that the time for waking life is over, and the time for the inner world, the world of sleep and dreams, is about to begin. I close my eyes for a moment, listening. The only sounds now are the almost inaudible sigh of the smoldering logs and the soft rustle of furs as my family settles for the night. The fire's pulse is slow and steady. My own heartbeat begins to match it. This is the first step of the journey inward. It is a synchronization, a tuning of our own bodies to the rhythm of the cave's heart. Before we can find our own rest, we must first find our place in its great, quiet rhythm. And so we breathe, held in the soft, orange glow, feeling the day recede, feeling the night arrive not as an enemy, but as a sanctuary. Sleep, for us, is not an act of falling. It is an act of settling. You do not fall into an abyss of unconsciousness. You settle into a carefully prepared nest, a space crafted not just for the body, but for the spirit. The ground of the cave is hard and cold. To lie upon it directly would be to invite the deep chill of the earth to steal your life's warmth. And so, the weaving of our beds is an art as old and as vital as the tending of the fire. It is a craft of comfort, a science of warmth, and a ritual of care. This work belongs mostly to the women of the clan. It is their domain, their quiet contribution to our collective survival. They hold the knowledge of plants, the secrets of insulation, and the feel of the seasons in their hands. I watch them now, in the dim, glowing aftermath of the evening fire. They are not working with haste, but with a practiced rhythmic efficiency. The sleeping places are not random. They occupy the most protected parts of the main chamber, away from the entrance and out of the path of any stray drafts that might find their way through a crack in the stone. These are our nests, shallow depressions in the cave floor that we have used for so many generations that the earth itself has been shaped by our sleep. The foundation of each bed is a thick layer of dried moss and last summer's grasses. This material was gathered in the final sunlit days of autumn, when it was dry and full of air. It is the first barrier against the cold stone, a springy, fragrant mattress that traps a layer of air, the first secret of insulation. On top of this, my daughter Lyra and the other women lay woven mats. These are not crude things. They are skillfully crafted from river reeds and flexible willow branches, woven tightly to create a firm, smooth surface. The weaving is a slow, meditative task, performed during the long, bright days of summer in anticipation of the long, dark nights of winter. Each mat is a story of patience, a promise of comfort made months in advance. But the true magic comes from the next layer. This is where the wisdom of the earth is brought inside. The women sprinkle handfuls of dried herbs over the mats. There is yarrow with its clean, sharp scent that keeps the insects away, even in the dead of winter. There is wild thyme, whose tiny, fragrant leaves release a calming aroma when crushed by the weight of a sleeping body. And there is lavender, gathered from the high mountain slopes, its scent a deep, soothing balm that quiets the mind and invites peaceful dreams. To lie down is to be enveloped in a cloud of these gentle, earthy perfumes. It is a form of medicine, a nightly ritual that cleanses the spirit as much as it comforts the body. The final layer, the one that touches our skin, is the furs. We have many. There are the soft, dense pelts of wolves and the thick, shaggy hides of bison. But the most prized are the reindeer hides. The fur of the reindeer is made of hollow hairs, each one a tiny, perfect tube of trapped air. No cold can find its way through a reindeer skin. These are our blankets, our cocoons. They are scraped and softened with stone tools and animal fats until they are as supple as woven cloth. They hold the faint, smoky smell of the curing fires and the wild scent of the animal itself. To wrap yourself in one is to be held in a powerful, ancient embrace. Tonight, Lyra lays a particularly large and soft hide in the nest she shares with her son, Kalen, named for me. It is the hide of a great cave bear that I myself hunted in my youth. It is a legacy, a piece of my own strength now used to protect my grandson. She smooths it down, tucks the edges, and then places a smaller, softer fawn skin where his head will lie. Every movement is an act of love. She is not just making a bed, she is building a sanctuary. She is creating a small pocket of warmth and safety in a vast, indifferent world. She is weaving a spell against the cold and the dark, a spell made of moss, reeds, herbs, and the love of a mother for her child. The other families do the same. Each nest is slightly different, tailored to the needs of those who will sleep there. The older members, whose bones feel the cold more keenly, have thicker layers of moss. The nests for infants are lined with the softest rabbit furs, swaddled in warmth and the scent of their mothers. Our beds are not separate, isolated islands. They flow into one another, a single undulating landscape of fur and herbs that covers the entire sleeping area of the cave. We are a forest of sleeping bodies, our roots intertwined in the shared earth beneath us. When the last hide is smoothed, the work is done. The nests are ready. They are not merely places to lie down. They are invitations. They call to our weary bodies, promising a rest that is deep and restorative. They are a testament to the foresight and care of our people, a reminder that even in the harshest of worlds, we can create softness. We can create comfort. We can, with our own hands, weave a space where it is safe to let go, to surrender our waking minds, and to drift into the deep, healing waters of sleep. And so, I rise, my old bones creaking slightly, and make my way to my own place in this soft, fragrant landscape. The time for settling has come. The fire has been banked, the nests have been woven. Now, the final ritual begins, the gentle, unspoken choreography of finding our places for the night. This is not a scramble for the best spot. It is a slow, organic process of settling, a living puzzle where each piece finds its perfect fit. We do not sleep in solitary worlds separated by walls and doors. We sleep as we live, together. Our rest is a communal act, a shared vulnerability that, in its sharing, becomes our greatest strength. I find my own place, a familiar hollow between my daughter Lyra's nest and that of old Alara. My grandson, Kalen, is already a small, warm mound under the firs beside his mother. I can hear the soft, even rhythm of his breathing. It is the sound of pure trust. He does not fear the dark. He does not know the dangers that walk the frozen world outside our stone walls. His world is the warmth of his mother and the low, steady heartbeat he can feel through the layers of hide. That is all the safety he needs. I settle down, pulling a heavy bison hide over my body. The air outside the fur is cool, but beneath it, a pocket of warmth immediately begins to form. A microclimate created by the heat of my own body. The feeling is one of being enfolded, of being held. To my right, Alara sighs softly, a sound of contentment, and shifts slightly. I can feel the subtle movement through the shared bedding, a small ripple in our collective stillness. To my left, Lyra reaches out an arm in her sleep, her hand coming to rest on her son's back. It is a gesture of unconscious, unending care. We are arranged not by chance, but by a deep, instinctual wisdom. The children and the elders, who feel the cold most, sleep in the center of the group, insulated on all sides by the bodies of the younger, stronger adults. The young hunters, those whose sleep is light and whose senses are sharpest, arrange themselves closer to the edges of the sleeping area, their bodies forming a protective ring. They are the sentinels, the listeners. Even in sleep, a part of them is awake, attuned to any sound that is out of place. This is not a formal duty they are assigned. It is a role they assume naturally, a silent promise to the clan that they can rest deeply, for the watch is kept. We call this the shared breath. As the cave grows quiet, the individual sounds of breathing begin to merge. It is not something you notice at first, but then, as your own body relaxes, you begin to feel it. The soft inhale and exhale of the person next to you. The slightly deeper, slower rhythm of a large man sleeping nearby. The quick, shallow breaths of a dreaming child. All these separate rhythms slowly weave themselves into a single, great tide of respiration. The air itself seems to pulse with the slow, steady life of the clan. Inhale, exhale, a great sleeping lung in the heart of the stone. To be part of this is to feel a profound sense of belonging. The anxieties of the individual, the worries of the hunt, the fear of sickness, the grief of loss, are softened and diluted in this shared state. You are not alone with your thoughts in the dark. You are a single cell in a larger organism, held in a web of warmth and breath. The touch of another body, even through layers of fur, is a constant grounding reassurance. A foot brushing against yours, a shoulder settling against your back. These small points of contact are anchors that keep you from drifting into fear. They are a physical language that says, "You are here. You are safe. We are with you." This is perhaps the greatest difference between our sleep and the sleep of your world. You seek silence and isolation to rest. You build walls and close doors to shut the world out. We find our deepest rest in the presence of others. Our silence is not empty. It is filled with the soft sounds of life. Our peace comes not from being alone, but from knowing in the deepest part of our being that we are not. This proximity is our medicine. It regulates our heartbeats. It calms our nervous systems. It allows the vigilant part of our brains to finally stand down and surrender to the deep, restorative work of sleep. I lie here now, feeling the slow, rhythmic rise and fall of the furs around me. I can feel the warmth of Lyra on one side and Alara on the other. I can hear the shared breath of my people, a sound more soothing than any lullaby. The fire pulses with its own slow breath at the center of the cave. Outside, the wind breathes its long, cold sigh. Everything is in rhythm, and in this great, quiet symphony of breath, I feel my own consciousness begin to soften, to dissolve at the edges. I am no longer just an old man in a cave. I am a part of the night. I am a part of the clan. I am a part of the shared breath, and in that belonging, I let go. The journey into sleep is not a single, unbroken fall into oblivion. For us, the night has different chapters, and sleep is a tide that ebbs and flows. The first sleep is often the deepest. It is a heavy, dreamless state, a profound surrender of the body and mind. It is a time for physical repair, when the aches of the day's labor are soothed and the body's energy is restored. I drift in this dark, quiet ocean for what feels like a long time, anchored by the warmth of my kin and the steady pulse of the cave's heart. There is no thought, no fear, only a deep and profound stillness. And then, as naturally as a river finding a new course, I surface. It is not a jarring awakening. There is no alarm, no sudden noise. It is a gentle, gradual return to a state of quiet awareness. My eyes open not to darkness, but to the soft, deep red glow of the embers at the center of the cave. The world is utterly still, utterly silent, save for the whisper of the banked fire and the collective, gentle breathing of my family. This is the time we call the watch. It is not a time of insomnia or restless anxiety. It is a sacred pause, a tranquil harbor in the middle of the long, dark night. Not everyone wakes. The children, the very old, and those who are weary from sickness or a difficult hunt often sleep through until the first light. But many of us stir. It is a natural rhythm, one that our bodies have known for generations. This period of wakefulness is a gift, not a burden. It is a time for quiet reflection, for small, necessary tasks, and for a deeper connection to the night. I rise slowly, my movements careful so as not to disturb those still sleeping around me. The air is colder now, the fire's radiant heat having lessened over the hours. I pull my mammoth fur tighter around my shoulders. A few other figures are also moving in the dim light. I see Kalen's father, Ronan, his silhouette dark against the embers as he quietly adds a single, dense log to the fire. He does not slam it down. He places it with the reverence of an offering, gently nudging it into place until it begins to catch the embers' glow, ensuring the heart of the cave will beat strongly until morning. No words are exchanged. None are needed. He sees me, gives a slow, slight nod, and then returns to his sleeping nest. I walk to the cave's entrance. Pushing aside the heavy bison hide, I step out into the true night. The cold is a living thing. It bites at any exposed skin, a clean, sharp shock that awakens the senses. The world is bathed in a light that your world has largely forgotten. The pure, silver light of the stars, amplified by the endless expanse of snow. The sky is not black. It is a deep, velvet dome strewn with so many points of light that it seems to shimmer. The great river of stars that flows across the sky is so bright it casts soft, faint shadows on the ground. There is no wind. The silence is absolute. It is a silence so deep it has weight, a presence that presses against your eardrums. In this profound stillness, you can hear the world's true voice. You can hear the faint crackle of ice forming on the branches of the lone pine tree that grows near the cave. You can hear the distant, percussive groan of the great river of ice as it shifts miles away. These are not noises. They are the planet's slow, ancient heartbeat. This is a time of clarity. Without the distractions of the day, the mind becomes calm and clear. Worries that seemed large and tangled in the daylight now seem small and simple under the vast, silent gaze of the stars. It is a time to remember, to think of the ancestors who looked upon this same sky, who felt this same biting cold. It is a time to feel your own small, warm place in the immense, unending story of the world. It is a time to simply be, a conscious, breathing being in the midst of a great, sleeping universe. I do not stay long. The cold is a stern teacher, and it tells me when it is time to return to the warmth. I slip back inside the cave, the heavy hide falling into place behind me, sealing out the silver and the cold. The warm, smoky air envelops me like a blanket. The scene has not changed. My family sleeps on, held in their collective dream. I return to my nest, settling back into the familiar hollow. My body is cold from the outside air, but the core of the nest is still warm. I will not fall back into the deep, dreamless sleep of the first part of the night. This next chapter will be different. It is the second sleep, a lighter, more dream-filled state. Having touched the cold, silent truth of the world outside, my mind is now ready to explore the landscapes within. I pull the furs up to my chin, feeling the warmth slowly return to my limbs. I am not anxious about falling back asleep. Sleep is not something to be chased. It is something you invite. And now, having kept the watch, having honored the sacred pause, I close my eyes and wait for it to return, knowing it will come in its own time, like a trusted friend returning from a long journey. As I lie here, suspended in the quiet harbor between the two great sleeps, I begin to listen. Not with the anxious, searching ears of the day, but with the deep, receptive listening of the night. During the watch, the world is not truly silent. It speaks a language all its own, a language of subtleties, of whispers, of ancient, rhythmic sounds. To learn this language is to understand the true nature of the night, and to find your place within it. The first voice you learn to distinguish is the voice of the fire. Even banked and sleeping, it is never truly quiet. There is the low, almost subsonic hum of the smoldering embers, a sound you feel in your chest as much as you hear with your ears. It is the bass line, the fundamental note of the cave's song. Every so often, a pocket of sap in the night log will heat and pop, a sharp but gentle sound like a knuckle cracking. It is a reassuring sound, a sign that the heart is still strong, still working to keep us warm. Sometimes a log will shift, settling deeper into its bed of embers, releasing a soft sigh of ash and smoke. These are the fire's sleeping words, and they all say the same thing. All is well. Rest. The next voice is the wind. Even in our sheltered cave, we can hear it. It is a distant voice, the sound of the great open world. I can tell the nature of the night by the sound of the wind. Tonight, it is a low, steady whisper that moves through the tops of the pine trees far above us. It speaks of a deep and settled cold, a calm and stable night. If it were to rise to a moan or a high-pitched shriek, we would know a storm was coming. The hunters would stir in their sleep, their bodies sensing the change even before their minds did. The wind is the world's messenger, and we have learned to read its tidings. It is not a disturbance, it is information. It is a part of the rhythm, not an interruption. Then there are the sounds of the ice. The world outside is a sculpture of it. The small stream that trickles down the mountain in the summer is now a frozen waterfall, a silent, glittering curtain of ice. But it is not truly silent. In the profound cold, the ice contracts and expands, and sometimes it sings. It is a high, thin, almost musical sound, like a string being plucked in another world. It speaks of the immense power of the cold, the force that can turn running water to stone. Farther away from the valley comes the deep, resonant boom of the frozen river cracking. It is a sound that travels for miles through the frozen earth, a reminder of the vast, sleeping power that holds the land in its grip. These sounds are not frightening. They are familiar. They are the winter's lullaby. And finally, there are the human sounds, the softest and most intimate notes in the symphony of the night. They are the sounds of life, of trust, the almost inaudible rustle of fur as someone turns in their sleep, the soft, wet sound of an infant suckling at its mother's breast, the occasional deep sigh of a dreamer, releasing a thought or a memory into the darkness. Sometimes, a child will murmur a word or a name, their dream world briefly touching our own. These are not disruptions to our sleep. They are the very fabric of it. They are the sounds that tell our deepest, most ancient instincts that we are not alone, that the herd is safe, that we can let go of our vigilance. In your world, you seek to eliminate all sound, to create a perfect artificial silence. You use machines to create a constant, featureless noise to block out the unpredictable sounds of life. But in doing so, you lose the language of the night. You deafen yourself to its wisdom. For us, these sounds are not the enemy of sleep. They are the cradle of it. They create a rich, textured soundscape that our brains can rest within. We have learned to distinguish the ordinary from the extraordinary. The snap of a twig outside the cave mouth. Is it the weight of new snow or the footfall of a predator? Our sleeping minds know the difference. The soft sounds of our family are a reassurance. A sharp, unfamiliar sound would bring a dozen of us to full alertness in a single heartbeat. This is the art of deep listening. It is a skill honed over a lifetime, an attunement to the world that allows for a rest that is both deep and aware. I lie here, letting the sounds of the night wash over me, the hum of the fire, the whisper of the wind, the sigh of a sleeper. They are all part of the same great, quiet song. They are the rhythm that rocks us back into the second sleep, the dream-filled sleep, where the stories of the night will truly begin. And so I listen, and in listening, I dissolve once more, letting the language of the night carry me away. In the quiet, wakeful pause of the watch, after the fire has been fed and the stars have been honored, sometimes another ritual takes place. It is not for everyone, nor for every night. It happens only when a few of us are awake together in the soft, glowing stillness, and the silence feels ready to be filled, not with noise, but with meaning. This is the time for the deep stories, not the boisterous tales of the hunt told in the full light of the evening fire, but the quiet legends, the creation myths, the stories of the ancestors, spoken in voices that are little more than a murmur. Tonight, as I returned from the cold, I saw that young Dar, one of the newer hunters, was also awake, sitting with his back to the wall, his knees drawn up. His face, illuminated by the embers, was troubled. A bad dream, perhaps, or a worry for the hunt to come. Old Alara, who seems to need less sleep than anyone, was also sitting up, her hands resting in her lap, her eyes half closed. She saw the boy's worry, as she sees everything. She did not ask him what was wrong. She did not offer advice. She simply began to speak, her voice a low, raspy whisper that was like the rustle of dry leaves. It was a voice perfectly suited to the deep night. She did not tell a new story. She told the oldest story, the one we all know by heart, the one that must be told when the winter is at its deepest and the nights are at their longest. She told the story of the first fire. In the beginning, she whispered, and the ancient words fell into the silence like stones into a still pool. There was only the great cold and the great dark. The people of the first clan had no cave. They had only their bodies and their courage. They huddled together under the frozen sky, their breath turning to ice, their spirits growing dim. The great beasts of the night, the saber-tooth, the cave lion, hunted them without fear, for the people were blind in the dark. Dar's head, which had been bowed, lifted slightly. He was listening. I closed my eyes, not to sleep, but to see the story more clearly. Alara's words were the thread, and our shared imagination was the loom. One night, she continued, her voice dropping even lower. When the clan was close to despair, a girl whose name was Anya looked up at the sky. She saw a single star fall, a streak of brilliant light that seared the darkness. It did not vanish. It fell into the great pine forest on the mountain, and a light began to glow there, a light the color of the setting sun. It was a warm light, and the people, though they were afraid, felt it calling to them. These stories are our true inheritance. They are not for entertainment. They are maps for the soul. They remind us of who we are, where we came from, and what we have endured. They teach us that fear can be overcome, that courage is found in the darkest moments, and that even a small light can change the world. They are a form of medicine for the spirit, especially for a young hunter like Dar, who must walk out into the cold and the danger each day. Anya was not a hunter, Alara murmured. She was small, and her hands were skilled at weaving, not at throwing a spear. But her heart was brave. She left the huddle of her clan and began to walk toward the light. She walked all through the frozen night, the roars of the great beasts echoing around her. But she kept her eyes on the strange, dancing light on the mountain. And finally, she came to a clearing where a great pine tree, struck by the star, was burning. It was not a fire of anger and destruction. It was a fire of warmth and life. It sang a quiet song. It danced with soft, orange arms. And it was not hungry for her. It only wished to share its warmth. As she spoke, the embers in our own fire pit pulsed, as if listening to the story of their own birth. The air in the cave felt warmer, safer. The story was reinforcing the reality of our own sanctuary. This is the power of these tales. They are not abstract, they are alive. They inhabit the space in which they are told. Anya knew this was a sacred gift. She found a branch that had fallen from the tree, its end glowing with the star's fire, and she carried it back to her people. She carried the heart of the tree, the peace of the star, the gift of the sky. And when she brought it to her clan, they were no longer afraid. They built a circle of stones and placed the fire in the center. And for the first time, they were warm. For the first time, they could see each other's faces in the long night, and the great beasts, they saw the light, and they kept their distance. The fire was a protector. It was a heart. It was a beginning. Alara fell silent. The story was over. She had not offered a moral. She had not told Dar to be brave like Anya. She had simply given him the story, a gift of warmth for his troubled mind. I watched the boy. The tension in his shoulders had eased. His breathing was slower. He looked at the embers in our fire pit with new eyes, with a sense of reverence and connection. The story had done its work. It had reminded him that our fire is not just burning wood. It is the courage of an ancestor, a gift from the sky. It had re-enchanted his world. He lay back down, pulling his furs around him. In a few moments, he was asleep. Alara nodded to herself, a small knowing gesture, and then she too settled back into her nest. The story now hung in the air, woven into the smoke, a part of the cave's spirit. It had filled the quiet pause of the watch, and now it would fuel our dreams as we drifted into the second, deeper part of the night. It was a bridge of words, leading us from a state of gentle waking back into the welcoming embrace of sleep. Having been carried by the quiet river of story, we now drift into the second great territory of the night, the landscape of dreams. This is not an escape from reality for us. It is another form of it, a world as real and as significant as the world of rock and snow and fire. It is a place of wisdom, of prophecy, of connection to the spirits of the world and the spirits of our ancestors. Sleep is the doorway, and our dreams are the paths we walk on the other side. The second sleep is different from the first. The body is rested now. The initial heavy fatigue has passed. The mind is free to roam. The dreams that come in this time are often vivid, filled with color and sound and feeling. They are not the confused, fleeting images that can flicker at the edge of sleep. These are deep, immersive journeys. In these dreams, we fly. We speak with animals. We walk in lands we have never seen with our waking eyes. I feel myself slipping into this world now. The familiar weight of the furs, the scent of the smoke, the rhythmic breathing of my clan. These things anchor my body to the cave, leaving my spirit free to travel. The boundary between my sleeping mind and the world begins to blur. The low hum of the fire becomes the hum of the earth. The sigh of the wind becomes the voice of an ancient spirit. Tonight, I dream of the great mammoth. I am not hunting it. I am not afraid. I am walking beside it on a vast, snow-covered plain under a sky filled with shimmering green lights. The creature is immense, a moving mountain of hair and bone, its long, curved tusks like twin crescent moons. Its great, wise eyes, usually hidden behind a curtain of shaggy fur, are clear and calm. It does not speak in a human voice, but I understand its thoughts. The communication is not in words, but in feelings, in images that bloom directly in my mind. It shows me a path, a hidden valley where the snow is not so deep. In the valley, a herd of reindeer are scraping at the snow with their hooves, uncovering the lichens and mosses beneath. The vision is intensely real. I can smell the cold, clean air. I can feel the crunch of the snow under my feet. I can see the steam rising from the reindeer's nostrils. The mammoth is telling me where the hunt must go tomorrow. It is not a command, but a gift of knowledge, a sharing of wisdom between one ancient spirit and another. We treat such dreams with the utmost seriousness. In the morning, when we gather around the fire, the hunters will ask if anyone had a dream of significance. I will tell them of my journey with the mammoth. They will listen with quiet respect. They will not question it or call it a fantasy. They understand that the dream world has its own truths. Ronan, the lead hunter, will nod and decide that the hunting party will journey north toward the hidden valleys, guided not by a map of stone and ice, but by a map drawn in a dream. More often than not, these dreams prove true. The dream world is also where we commune with those who have passed beyond the veil of life. My own father often visits me in my dreams. He does not look as he did in his final, frail years. He is young and strong again, his eyes clear, his laugh a deep rumble. He does not speak of his life in the spirit world. He simply walks with me, or we sit by a dream fire, and his presence is enough. It is a reassurance that the bond of kinship is not broken by death, that the clan is larger than just those who are currently breathing in the cave. We are a great river of souls flowing through time, and dreams are the eddies where we can meet and touch for a moment. Sometimes the dreams are warnings. A dream of a great crack opening in the ice of the river is a clear sign to avoid crossing it for a time. A dream of a wolf with red eyes might be a premonition of danger, a signal to be more vigilant. And sometimes the dreams are for healing. If a child is sick, the mother will often dream of a particular plant, a vision of its leaves or roots, and in the morning she will go out and seek that plant, knowing it holds the medicine her child needs. We do not control our dreams, we receive them. We understand that the sleeping mind is open in a way the waking mind is not. It is open to the whispers of the land, the wisdom of the animals, the voices of the ancestors. To dismiss a dream would be to close a door to a vital source of knowledge. It would be an act of arrogance, an assumption that our two waking eyes can see everything there is to see. My dream of the mammoth fades. I am aware now of other dreamers around me. I can hear the soft murmur of my grandson as he dreams his own small, simple dreams of running and playing. I can sense the deep, still dreams of the elders and the active, searching dreams of the hunters. The cave is not just filled with sleeping bodies. It is filled with 1,000 unseen journeys, a web of dreaming spirits traveling through the infinite landscapes of the night. We are physically together, but our spirits are soaring, exploring, learning. And in the morning we will bring the wisdom of those journeyed back with us, like rare stones gathered from a distant shore, to share with the clan and guide our waking day. Let us linger for a moment here in the deep heart of the night. I want you to focus on a sense that your modern world often overlooks, a sense that for us is as vital as sight or hearing. I want you to breathe in the air of the cave, to explore the landscape of scent that defines our winter world. For in a life lived so close to the earth, smell is a language. It is memory. It is a signal of safety, of danger, of season, of home. And in the long dark months, the scents of our cave become the anchors of our reality. Breathe in deeply. The first and most dominant scent is, of course, the smoke. But it is not the harsh, choking smoke of a fire burning out of control. It is a complex and layered perfume. There is the sharp, resinous tang of pine, a scent that speaks of the forest's endurance, of life persisting even under a blanket of snow. Beneath that is the deeper, more solid scent of oak, the smell of slow, steady strength. And woven through it all is the dry, mineral scent of ash. It is the smell of 100,000 fires past, the accumulated history of our hearth. To us, this combination, pine, oak, and ash, is the scent of civilization. It is the smell that separates our warm, living world from the sterile, frozen world outside. Now, breathe deeper still. Beneath the smoke, you will find the rich, organic scents of our life. There is the musky, slightly sweet smell of the cured animal hides. Each one is different. The bison hide carries the scent of the wide, grassy plains of summer. The wolf pelt has a sharper, wilder note. The mammoth fur, the one I wear, holds a scent so ancient it seems to come from the earth itself. A smell of dust and time and immense, slow-moving power. These are not unpleasant odors. They are the scents of our providers, the animals who gave their lives so that we might have warmth and food. To smell them is to feel a sense of gratitude and connection to the great web of life. And what of the herbs? The layer of our nests that lies just beneath the furs. As we shift and turn in our sleep, our body heat warms the dried plants, releasing their essential spirits into the air. The clean, almost minty fragrance of yarrow rises, a scent that clears the head and purifies the air. The warm, peppery scent of wild thyme mingles with it, a smell that brings comfort and a feeling of groundedness. And if you are near a child's nest, you will smell the gentle, soothing whisper of lavender and chamomile. We do not have words like calm or anxiety. We have the scent of chamomile. We understand its effects not with our minds, but with our nervous systems. A child breathing in that scent all night will sleep a deeper, more peaceful sleep. The body knows this language, even if the mind has no name for it. There is also the scent of the stone itself, the very bones of the world. On a dry night like this, it is a faint, clean, dusty smell. But if a thaw were coming, if the air outside were growing heavy with moisture, the stone would release a deeper, damper, more earthy aroma. The cave itself would tell us of the changing weather. It breathes with the seasons, and its breath is a prediction we have learned to trust. Finally, there is the most intimate scent of all, the smell of our own kind. The warm, familiar scent of skin and hair, of mothers and children, of mates and elders. In a world with no artificial perfumes, we smell of who we are. We smell of wood smoke, of animal fur, of the herbs we lie upon, and of the unique spirit of our own bodies. To be surrounded by this scent is the ultimate reassurance. An infant knows its mother's smell before it knows her face. A child lost in a snowstorm could find their way back to the clan by scent alone. It is the invisible thread that binds us together. It is the scent of belonging. In your world, you work so hard to erase these smells. You wash your bodies with artificial flowers. You scrub your homes with chemical lemons. You mask the scent of life with 1,000 distractions. But you forget that the brain's center for smell is one of the oldest parts of its structure, deeply connected to memory and emotion. A scent can transport you through time in a way that no other sense can. For us, this is not a curiosity. It is a fundamental part of our existence. Every night, when we settle into our nests, we are enveloped by this complex, unchanging tapestry of scents. The smoke, the hides, the herbs, the stone, the people. This consistent sensory landscape signals to the deepest parts of our brain that all is well, that we are home, that the world is as it should be. It is a nonverbal cue that it is safe to let down our guard. It is the final lock on the door of our sanctuary. And as we drift into sleep, we do not leave this world of scent behind. We carry it with us into our dreams, a fragrant anchor that keeps us safely tethered to our home until the morning light returns. Beyond the world of sound and scent lies another realm, a landscape of feeling that is perhaps the most powerful of all in the long winter night. It is the world of touch, of pressure, of temperature. It is the language that the body speaks without words, and its vocabulary is one of safety, comfort, and connection. In the deep cold, touch is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. The first sensation as I settle for the night is the weight of the furs. It is not a light, airy covering. The hide of a great bison or a mammoth is heavy. This weight is not oppressive, it is grounding. It is a constant, gentle pressure that seems to calm the restless energy in the limbs. It feels like a safe and heavy hand resting upon your entire body, a physical presence that says, "Be still." You are held long before we had words for it. Our bodies understood this deep, calming pressure. It stills the trembling of a frightened child and soothes the aches of an old man's bones. The weight itself is a form of peace. Beneath the furs, another conversation is taking place. It is the dialogue of warmth. My own body radiates heat, a small personal furnace. The dense layers of fur do not create this heat. They simply capture it, refusing to let it escape into the cold air. They create a small world around me that is the temperature of life. But I am not a solitary island of warmth. All around me are other small furnaces, my daughter, my grandson, my kinsman. And the warmth from all of our bodies mingles and merges under the great shared blanket of furs. This is the communal warmth, and it is our most potent weapon against the killing cold. A single person, alone, might struggle to stay warm through a truly bitter night. But a group, sleeping close together, creates a zone of thermal safety that is far greater than the sum of its parts. I can feel it now. The heat from Lyra's body next to me seeps into my own nest. My heat, in turn, flows toward old Alara. We are a human hearth, our collective life force pushing back against the entropy of the ice-bound world. And then there is the direct touch of skin and body, the most intimate language of all. As the night deepens, we shift in our sleep, and our bodies find their way closer to one another. My grandson, Colin, in his sleep, has rolled until his small, warm back is pressed firmly against his mother's side. He does this without waking, an unconscious, instinctual search for the ultimate safety. Lyra, in her own sleep, will have an arm draped over him. It is a dance of bodies that requires no thought, a physical expression of the bonds that hold us together. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I will feel a foot brush against mine, or a shoulder settle against my own. These are not intrusions. They are communications. They are the body's way of constantly checking in, of reaffirming the presence of the clan. In your world, such a touch from a stranger would be a cause for alarm. For us, the touch of our kin is the signal that all is well. Our nervous systems are not wired for isolation. They are wired for co-regulation. The calm, steady breathing and the warmth of one body helps to calm and regulate the body next to it. We now know that this gentle, sustained contact releases a warmth not just in the skin, but in the spirit. It creates a feeling of trust and belonging that is deeper than any words. It is a neurochemical reinforcement of our community, a nightly stitching together of our souls while our bodies lie at rest. Even the way we position our bodies is a form of unspoken wisdom. We naturally curl into a fetal position, tucking our knees toward our chests, drawing our arms in. This is not just a posture of comfort, it is a posture of conservation. It minimizes the surface area of the body exposed to the cold and protects our vital organs. When a dozen people are curled this way, nested together like spoons, the amount of heat lost is incredibly small. We become a single, breathing, heat-conserving organism. This is the physical reality of our winter sleep. It is a world of weight, of warmth, of pressure, of contact. Every sensation is a part of a larger system designed for survival, but its effect is something far more profound than mere survival. It creates a feeling of being utterly and completely safe, of being part of something larger and warmer than oneself. It is this feeling, this deep physical sense of security, that allows the mind to truly let go. The body, speaking its ancient language of touch, tells the mind, "You do not need to worry. You do not need to watch. I am warm. I am held. I am safe. Now you can rest." And so, cradled in this web of sensation, the mind obeys, and we drift into the deepest, most healing sleep of all. As my dream of the mammoth fades and I lie in the quiet stillness of the watch, my eyes are drawn to the walls of our cave. In the soft, pulsing glow of the embers, they are not merely rock. They are the pages of our oldest book, the skin of our memory. The shadows cast by the uneven stone seem to move and breathe, and in them I can see the faces of those who came before. This cave is more than a shelter. It is a sanctuary, a living library, a temple to the long, unbroken line of our people. High on one wall, far above where anyone can reach, are the paintings. They are old, so old that even Ilara's grandmother did not know who made them. They are images of the great beasts, the mammoth with its majestic tusks, the bison with its powerful shoulders, the wild horse with its flowing mane, and the deer with its delicate antlers. They are not crude stick figures. They are drawn with a confident, flowing line, filled with colors of red ochre, black charcoal, and yellow clay. They are so full of life that in the flickering firelight, they seem to move. The bison's legs seem to bunch for a charge. The horse's head seems to toss in the wind. These are not decorations. They are spirits. They are the powerful animal spirits that inhabit the world, and by painting them on our walls, our ancestors invited them into our home, not as enemies, but as sacred presences. They are a prayer for a successful hunt, a sign of respect for the lives that sustain us, and a reminder that we are not the only powerful beings in this world. To sleep under their watchful gaze is to be protected. It is to acknowledge that our lives are interwoven with theirs, a part of the same great mysterious dance. But the most sacred paintings are not in this main chamber. They are deep within the cave, in places that are hard to reach. To get there, you must leave the warmth of the fire and crawl through narrow, winding passages, your only light a small, flickering torch. In these hidden chambers, far from the light of day, the walls are covered with more mysterious symbols. There are grids and dots and handprints, outlines of hands, our ancestors' hands, pressed against the stone and surrounded by a cloud of red powder. To place your own hand against one of these ancient prints is to touch the past directly. It is to feel the presence of a person who stood in this very spot, breathing this same cool, earthy air thousands of years ago. Some believe these deep, hidden chambers were places of initiation, where the young hunters were taken to prove their courage. Others believe they were places of powerful magic, where the shaman would go to journey into the spirit world. I believe they were both of these things, but also something more. I believe they were dream temples. I believe our ancestors understood that sleep is a journey, and that some dreams are more powerful than others. Perhaps they would go into these deep, silent places, far from the life of the clan, to deliberately seek a vision. In the total darkness, the total silence, the mind is freed from the distractions of the world. The senses turn inward, and the veil between the worlds grows thin. The flickering torchlight would make the shadows dance in strange and hypnotic ways. The echo of a chant would reverberate through the chamber, creating a disorienting, dreamlike state. Here they would sleep, wrapped in furs, and invite the great spirits to speak to them in their dreams. The act of journeying into the earth's belly to sleep is a powerful one. It is a return to the womb. It is a gesture of profound trust and surrender. The paintings on the walls were perhaps the last things they saw before closing their eyes, prayers to guide their dreaming spirits. And the dreams they had in these sacred wombs of stone would have been potent, filled with guidance for the entire clan. I do not make that journey often anymore. My old bones prefer the warmth of the main fire, but the knowledge that those sacred chambers are there, just beyond the edges of our living space, adds another layer to the sanctity of our home. It reminds us that our cave is not just a physical shelter, but a spiritual one. It is a place that connects the world of the living to the world of the spirits, the world of the waking to the world of the dreaming. And so, as I lie here looking at the great painted bison on the wall, I feel a sense of continuity, of being a single link in a very long chain. The same stone that holds this painted image also holds the memory of my ancestors' dreams. The same air that I breathe now was once breathed by them. The same silence that enfolds me now once held their sacred chants. To sleep in this place is to be held not just by the warmth of my living kin, but by the accumulated memory of my entire people. It is to rest upon a foundation of countless generations, to be cradled in the very heart of our history. And there is no greater security, no deeper peace than that. The stone itself remembers us, and in its memory, we find our rest. There are nights, and then there are the great, deep wells of darkness that come when the winter is at its most powerful. These are the times when a blizzard descends from the northern ice sheets, a screaming white fury that can last for days. The wind no longer whispers or moans, it shrieks like a vengeful spirit, hurling snow against the mouth of our cave with such force that it sounds like stones being thrown. In these times, the world outside vanishes. There is no day, no night, only a relentless, churning whiteness and the roar of the storm. During these great storms, our life changes completely. We cannot hunt. We cannot gather firewood. We cannot even step outside the shelter of our cave for a moment, for to do so would be to be swallowed by the white chaos, to be frozen solid in a matter of minutes. Our world, already shrunken by the winter, now shrinks to its absolute minimum, the warm, glowing heart of the cave. We become a ship of life, sealed against a raging, frozen sea. One might think this would be a time of fear and anxiety, of a restless, caged energy. But the opposite is true. The storm does not make us anxious. It gives us permission. It is a powerful, undeniable signal from the world itself that the time for doing is over. The time for being has come. And the primary form of being in these long, storm-tossed days and nights is rest. The rhythms of our life slow down to an almost imperceptible pace. We eat sparingly, consuming the dried meat and rendered fat that we have stored for just such a time. We speak little, for our voices are small against the roar of the wind. Our movements are minimal, conserving every bit of precious energy. And we sleep. We sleep more than we are awake. Sleep is not an escape. It is our strategy. It is our deepest form of adaptation. When the storm first hits, and we know we are sealed in, a great collective sigh seems to pass through the clan. The hunters, who carry the daily burden of providing, can finally lay that burden down. The women, whose work is never done, can let their hands be still. There is nothing to be done but to wait, to endure. And the best way to endure is to surrender to the body's oldest and wisest instinct, to conserve, to repair, to rest. We drift in and out of a slow, gentle state that is not quite sleep and not quite wakefulness. It is a kind of human hibernation, a dreamy twilight. We might sleep for 10 or 12 hours, wake for a few, eat a little, tend the fire, and then drift back into sleep for another long stretch. We lose track of time. The concepts of day and night become meaningless. We are living in the long night of the storm, and our bodies adjust accordingly. In this state of extended rest, something remarkable happens. The body begins its deepest healing work. The small, nagging injuries of the hunters begin to mend. The deep, weary fatigue in a new mother's bones begins to ease. The body, freed from the demands of daily life, can finally turn its full attention inward to the quiet, miraculous work of restoration. We understand that this is the body's only true medicine. When illness or injury comes, our first prescription is always the same: more sleep, more stillness. And it is not just the body that heals. The spirit does too. In the enforced quiet, with the storm's roar creating a barrier between us and the world, we are left with only ourselves and each other. The small conflicts and irritations of daily life fade into insignificance. We are reminded of our utter dependence on one another. The warmth of a shared hide, the small offering of a piece of dried meat. These simple acts become profound expressions of our bond. Our proximity becomes more intense, our shared breath more synchronized. We are not just surviving the storm, we are being forged by it. Our community bonds tempered and strengthened in the heart of the blizzard. I lie here now on what might be the second day or the third night of the storm. It is impossible to know. The wind is a constant, screaming presence at the edge of my hearing. The fire burns low and steady, a defiant orange heart against the white fury. My family is all around me, most of them asleep. Kalen is curled into a tight ball, his face peaceful. Lyra sleeps with one hand on his back, a guardian even in her dreams. The cave is filled with a deep, profound peace, a calm at the very center of the hurricane. This is the paradox of the longest night. In the moment of greatest external chaos, we find our greatest internal stillness. We have learned that you cannot fight a storm. You cannot reason with it. You can only bend to its power, find the deepest, most sheltered place you can, and wait for it to pass. And for us, that sheltered place is not just the cave. It is the state of sleep itself. Sleep is our shelter within the shelter. It is the final refuge, the place where we can ride out the worst of the world's fury, not in fear, but in a state of deep, trusting surrender. And we know, with a certainty that lives in our bones, that the storm will eventually pass. And when it does, we will emerge, not broken and depleted, but rested, healed, and ready to face the silent, newly sculpted world it leaves behind. The storm has passed. The great, roaring voice of the wind has quieted, leaving behind a silence that feels vast and new. Sometime in the deep night, Ronan, the hunter, pushed aside the heavy hides at the entrance. A wall of fresh, white snow stood there, blocking our way. But above it, a sliver of sky was visible, and in it, a single, brilliant star. The air that seeped in was no longer violent, just immensely cold and clean. The long night was over. As the clan slowly begins to stir, I lie in my nest and listen to a different language now. Not the language of the world outside, but the language of the body. In the aftermath of the storm and the long deep rest it enforced, our bodies are speaking to us, and we are listening. For our bodies hold a wisdom that is far older than our thinking minds. They are an echo of every winter our people have ever endured, and they know, without being told, how to survive. I watch my grandson, Kalen, as he wakes. He does not jolt awake. He surfaces slowly, like a creature rising from the deep. He stretches his small limbs, a luxurious, cat-like movement. His body, having been curled for warmth for so long, is now instinctively uncoiling, reaching for movement. He does not think about this. He simply does it. His body knows what it needs. My own body speaks to me in creaks and groans. The old ache in my shoulder, a memory of a long-ago hunt, is quieter this morning. The long stillness has been a balm to it. My breath feels deeper, slower. During the deep cold, our breathing naturally becomes shallower and more measured to conserve heat and moisture. Now, in the relative safety of the post-storm world, my lungs seem to be rediscovering their full capacity. It is the body's way of celebrating the return of calm. This attunement to the body's signals is perhaps the most fundamental skill we possess. In your world, you are taught to ignore the body's whispers until they become screams. You push through fatigue with stimulating drinks. You ignore the need for stillness and fill every moment with activity. You treat the body as a machine that must be forced to obey the commands of the will. We do not see it this way. We see the body as a wise and ancient partner. It is the vessel of our spirit, and its wisdom must be honored. When the body says it is tired, we rest. When it says it is hungry, we eat. When it says it is cold, we seek warmth. This is not weakness, it is intelligence. It is the key to our endurance. The body knows how to regulate itself, how to heal itself, how to align itself with the rhythms of the world, if only we will listen. Consider the cold. We do not simply curse it, we use it. The sharp, clean cold outside is what makes the warmth of the cave so profoundly comforting. It is the contrast that creates the feeling of sanctuary. Modern sleep scientists have found that people sleep more deeply in cooler environments. Our ancestors did not need a scientist to tell them this. They knew that a body wrapped in warm furs within a cool cave was the perfect combination for a long, uninterrupted sleep. The cold was not just an obstacle. It was an ingredient in the recipe for deep rest. And what of illness? When one of us falls sick with a fever or a deep cough, the entire clan's rhythm shifts. The sick person is moved to the warmest spot, closest to the fire. They are wrapped in the softest hides. They are given warm broth to drink. But the most important medicine we give them is the permission to do nothing at all but sleep. We understand that the body's entire energy must be directed toward fighting the sickness. Sleep is the battlefield where that fight is won. The rest of us will adjust our sleep to accommodate them. One of us always half awake to listen to their breathing, to offer a sip of water, to cool their brow with a damp piece of moss. We do not isolate the sick. We surround them. We lend them our collective strength and our collective peace, so their body can do its sacred work. This is the echo of the body, this deep, inherited knowledge that lives in our very cells. It is the instinct to curl up when cold. It is the craving for fatty foods in the winter. It is the natural slowing of our pace as the days grow shorter. It is the profound, overwhelming urge to sleep when we are sick or injured. These are not flaws or inconveniences. They are evolutionary echoes, the voices of a million ancestors whispering to us the secrets of survival. To live in harmony with this echo is to live a life of less resistance, of less struggle. It is to trust that the ancient, living intelligence of your own body knows what it needs. As I watch my clan come to life this morning, stretching, yawning, moving with a slow and mindful grace, I see a people who have not forgotten this trust. They are listening to the echo. And, in that listening, they find not only the strength to survive another day in this frozen world, but a deep and abiding sense of peace. For weeks, perhaps months, the world has been locked in a state of suspended animation. The light, when it comes at all, has been a brief, grudging apology for a day, a few hours of flat, gray illumination before the deep, profound darkness returns. The rhythm of our lives has been dictated by this scarcity of light. We have lived inwardly, our energies conserved, our world defined by the glowing circle of the hearth. But today, something is different. It is not a dramatic change. There is no sudden warmth in the air. The snow outside is still deep and unforgiving. The change is subtle, almost imperceptible. And yet, it is the most significant event of the season. The change is in the light. This morning, as the men worked together to clear the snow from the cave's entrance, the first rays of the rising sun struck the far wall of the cave. This, in itself, is not new. But today, the patch of light was different. It was a fraction higher on the wall than it was yesterday. It held a hint, just a whisper, of a golden hue, a departure from the sterile, white light we have known for so long. And it lingered for a few heartbeats longer before retreating. No one spoke of it. We are not a people who waste words on things that are self-evident. But a change rippled through the cave, a shift in energy that was as real as the light itself. I saw it in the way Lyra paused in her work, her head tilted, a small knowing smile on her lips. I saw it in the way the children's play had a little more energy, a little more spark. I felt it in my own old bones, a lightening of a weight I did not even know I had been carrying. It is the promise, the turning point, the first faint whisper of the spring to come. The body knows this shift before the mind can even name it. Our sleep will begin to change now. It will not happen overnight. It will be a slow, gradual recalibration. The long, deep, almost hibernating sleeps of the deep winter will begin to shorten. We will find ourselves waking a little earlier, our bodies feeling a little more restless for the day. The two great sleeps of the night, with the long, quiet watch in between, may begin to merge into a single, more consolidated block of rest. Our dreams may change, shifting from the deep, mythic journeys of winter to more practical dreams of emerging life, of melting ice, of green shoots, of newborn animals. This is not a conscious decision. It is the body's ancient, built-in clock, a clock that is not set by numbers on a dial, but by the angle and the color of the light. The human body is a creature of the sun, and even after a long season of living by firelight, it remembers its allegiance. The first touch of a stronger sun on the skin, the first sight of a brighter light, sends a signal to the deepest parts of our being. The long slumber is ending. The time of waking is approaching. This is a time of gentle transition. We do not suddenly burst forth with energy. We emerge slowly, cautiously, like an animal from its burrow. We will still spend most of our time in the cave, but our focus will begin to shift outward. The hunters will begin to plan longer journeys. The women will begin to take stock of the sinew for sewing and the hides for mending, preparing for a time of more activity. The stories told around the fire may shift from the solemn creation myths to more lively tales of adventure and trickery. The shift in the light brings with it a shift in hope. The deep winter is a time of endurance, of survival. It requires a kind of stoic patience, a trust that the world will turn again. And today we have received the first proof that our trust was not misplaced. The darkness did not last forever. The sun is beginning its long, slow climb back to its summer throne. This annual drama, the death of the light and its slow, miraculous rebirth, is the most sacred story we know. It is a story we do not just tell, but one we live, year after year. We have learned that the darkness is a necessary part of the cycle. It is a time for rest, for healing, for the gathering of strength in the quiet heart of the earth. Without the long, deep sleep of winter, we would not have the energy to greet the spring. So we do not resent the darkness that has passed. We are grateful for it. We are grateful for the sanctuary it provided, for the deep rest it gave us, for the way it brought us closer together in the warmth of our cave. and now we greet the first faint herald of its departure, not with boisterous celebration, but with a quiet, deep-seated joy. I sit here, watching the patch of light on the stone wall. It is a small thing, a simple thing, but it is everything. It is the turning of the world. It is the promise of life's return. And our bodies, having rested and healed in the long dark, are ready to receive it. And so, the light returns. The days will grow longer. The snow will begin to recede from the south-facing slopes, and the great frozen river will once again find its voice. Our winter in the cave is ending. Soon, our world will expand again, and the deep, communal sleep of the long night will give way to the shorter, more active rest of the warmer seasons. The cycle will continue. But before we leave this quiet, fire-lit space, I want to leave you with one final thought, a piece of wisdom to carry with you as you return to your own world, a world so different from mine, and yet at its heart, filled with the same breathing, dreaming, and seeking human beings. You have journeyed with me through the gathering dusk. You have felt the warmth of the fire's heart. You have rested in the woven nests, and you have breathed the shared breath of the clan. You have learned that for us, sleep was not a void, not a battle to be won or a problem to be solved. It was a place, a sanctuary we built together each night, a sacred rhythm we surrendered to without fear. Perhaps you are listening to this story because your own sleep has become a stranger to you. Perhaps you lie in your own modern cave, a room filled with a quiet hum of machines, surrounded by a silence that feels empty rather than peaceful. You may lie alone, your body yearning for the simple, grounding weight of another's presence. You may stare into the artificial light of a small, glowing rectangle, your mind racing with the anxieties of a world that never seems to stop, a world that has forgotten the sacred permission of the dark. If this is you, then know that the memory of my world is not entirely gone. It lives on, a quiet echo, in the very design of your body. The part of you that craves the calming rhythm of a steady breath. The part of you that feels a deep peace when watching the flicker of a candle. The part of you that sleeps more deeply in a cool, dark room. That is the echo of the cave. Your nervous system has not forgotten the lessons of the Ice Age. It still remembers what it needs to feel safe. It still knows the language of stillness. You may not be able to recreate our world. You cannot bank a fire in the center of your room or sleep in a huddle of kin wrapped in mammoth furs. But you can honor the wisdom behind our rituals. You can create your own small, sacred transition from the world of day to the world of night. You can dim the lights, not as a practical matter, but as a ceremony, a signal to your body that the time for doing is over. You can silence the clamoring voices of your machines and listen instead to the sound of your own breathing. You can create a nest for yourself, a space that is not just a place to lie down, but a sanctuary of comfort. You can surround yourself with scents that calm you, with textures that soothe you, with a weight that grounds you. You can learn to listen to the whispers of your own body when it tells you it is tired, and honor that message as a sacred truth, not an inconvenience. And most importantly, you can remember that rest is not a solitary struggle. While you may sleep alone, you are part of a great, shared human experience. The longing you feel for deep, restorative sleep is a longing that has been felt by every human who has ever lived. It is the thread that connects you to me, across a chasm of 10,000 winters. When you find your rest, you are honoring this ancient inheritance. So now, as my story ends and you prepare to drift into your own night, let go of the struggle. Do not chase sleep, invite it. Create a space of warmth and safety, of quiet and of comfort. Trust the ancient wisdom that lives in your bones. Feel yourself as part of a long, unbroken chain, a great river of souls all seeking the same peaceful harbor. You are not alone in the dark. The memory of the shared breath is with you. The warmth of the cave's heart is with you. The quiet strength of your ancestors is with you. Breathe in. Breathe out. The night is not an enemy. It is a sanctuary. It is a gift. It is the time for healing. It is the time for dreams. Settle into your nest. You are safe. You are held. Now you can rest.